Hello and welcome back to Warsword Conquest, and we're here at Prague once again. Now this is obviously going to be the final siege. Well, we can cross our fingers and hope that it is going to be the final siege against them, because they are annoying. They are very, very annoying indeed. They are very good at what they do, and I can only hope that I am actually going to be able to survive here. Obviously, me getting absolutely clobbered here by a bunch of enemies is really not going to help matters. However, one cool thing about this is that I'm kind of learning a little bit more about the whole manipulation of our forces once I go into Blood Frenzy. Because one of the things that I really have not been doing very much of is making it so that I immediately tell them to hold position. And I'm not even talking about using the flag here. I'm talking about using the map. And that's something that I haven't really done that much of, because usually that's not necessary. And usually I much prefer to use the flag because it's just, well, in my opinion, more precise. It allows you to see exactly where your units are going to be holding position and everything. But when it comes to doing this kind of situation where you're basically getting absolutely murdered at the same exact time as being, being forced into some kind of command decision, you're just going to have to make it work. You know, you're going to have to make it work in pretty much every single way. And that means that, going and actually doing the thing that needs to be done, in other words, going and holding position in the moment, pretty difficult to do. It's pretty difficult to do with the flag, so that's the reason why I'm basically just doing it with the map every single time now, and I'm trying to maximize that as much as possible. So for example, right here, look at that, we have to do it once again, because otherwise my fellows are just going to be charging in here, and that is not going to be a good look. So I'm just going to do this. My forces, haha, yeah, that's actually that's funny. Yeah, these guys right here are actually going to be just holding position as well, which is probably not the best idea. Actually, maybe it's a good idea that I tell them to hold position, because if I tell them to hold position, I may very well be able to then keep them until I enter the next Blood Rage, or Blood Frenzy, and then that's actually going to make things a little bit, a little bit easier for us, because then I'm going to have a second group of Bloodletters or Demon Princes and so on, and maybe that's going to be a bit more helpful to us. I don't know, it's a possibility, it's a possibility. Maybe that's a good way to go about things. Or maybe I can just use the nearby soldiers command like I have just here, and I'm just going to tell my forces to charge like that. And then I can get my Bloodletters to actually come in and help us out. Because nearby soldiers, obviously that's a command that isn't really very commonly used. But this is something that I mostly use to get people unstuck from certain situations, because obviously, let's face it, there are some instances where you're going to be seeing your own forces being really, kind of a bit silly, and so you kind of need them to be a bit more, getting out of the way, as it were. You need to move them a little bit more precisely than you would otherwise be doing with the normal commands. And so using nearby soldiers command, that really makes a huge difference. And you can see here that obviously my Bloodletters, they're actually helping me out quite a bit, even though they are getting murdered. It's a bit funny actually, because I personally think that Bloodletters are really strong, but you can see here just how, well, actually weak they seem to be, because they're getting killed by regular Kislev units. I mean, obviously these guys are actually not just regular Kislev units, they're actually much harder than that, as far as I'm aware, but this is exactly the reason why I say that I feel like Kislev is really good. I feel like they are actually a really good faction, and I think it's a really good way to go if you want to play something that has a strong, decent cavalry infantry line with some great, powerful musketeers and gunners and so on and so forth in the back. And obviously they do have some extremely powerful spellcasters. That's the main thing here, because obviously if they can get ward save, if you can give ward save to your troops here, to your Griffin Legionnaires and your Kreml Guards and so on and so forth, you're going to be having a whale of a time. It's going to be crazy good. But the thing is, it doesn't really inspire fantasy to me. You see, that's the thing. Usually when I'm playing a fantasy game or an RPG or whatever that allows me to play as a different race, whether that be, you know, a chaos, you know, member of chaos, or whether that be a dwarf or you know, elf, or is something a little bit more exotic, then I think that's cool. You know, I think that's great. I love that kind of thing, right? Because when I'm playing a fantasy game, I want to play something that isn't a human, you know? Because there's always a human available in pretty much every other form of game, you know, if you play a shooter or something like that, you're going to be playing as a human most likely, you know? If you're playing a sort of medieval, more historical focused game, then you're most likely going to be playing as a human. As we've seen, you know, base game Mount and Blade, you play as, you guessed it, a human. So, yeah, you're going to be seeing that often. However, if you're playing fantasy, and that's why I say, you know, if you're playing a fantasy game, MMORPG, for example, or, you know, you're playing like a, I don't know, a turn-based strategy game like, I don't know, Baldur's Gate or whatever, then you're going to literally, you know, you have the option, obviously, to choose whether you want to play a human, of course, but for me personally, I feel like that is not as fun, you know. It's not as fun, but, you know, it's up to you, obviously, you know, it's up to you. But that's the reason why I kind of feel a little bit, you know, not dubious, but I feel like, why would I want to play with the Kislev if I can play a, you know, Warrior of Khorne, or a Skaven, or a Lizard Man, or even a Dark Elf, High Elf, Wood Elf, whatever. Because, I mean, you know, they're relatively similar to humans. They have the same kind of, you know, the same kind of build. They're humanoids. They're, you know, same kind of stature, and so on and so forth. Obviously, they're not exactly the same, but you know what I mean. Anyway, I'm going to be deferring appointment of a lord here, and we're not going to be plundering it or anything like that. And then we're just going to go into the marketplace, because I need food. I need food, otherwise we're gonna run out relatively quickly. So I'm just going to sell the Griffin armor, because I haven't actually done that yet, and I don't even need these things right here. But this is a Spirited Kislev Warhorse. It's actually pretty good, so I'm just going to swap out the Stubborn Courser. And oh yeah, someone mentioned a very, very interesting thing. I wanted to see whether this was even possible for me to get. I might not be able to get it because I have to travel a fair distance away to make it there. So basically, you mentioned, oh, what's happening here? Okay, yeah. You mentioned the, whoa, 23,000? Are you serious? For 58 prisoners? If I had a ransom broker right now, I'd be having a great time. Wow, I'm surprised. Okay, 23,000 wow, okay. Yeah, I did actually just do a, I did a battle against some vassals, and I managed to take quite a few of them prisoner, but the thing is, the main thing that I'm talking about right now is the ball and chain, the ball and chain weapon. That I think is only available in goblin towns, I seem to recall, and that's a thing that has crush through blocks, and I think it could be an exceptional weapon for us. So thank you very much for the suggestion, because I really think it could be amazing. Now that we've eliminated the, I mean, I'm hoping that we've eliminated the Kislev. I actually have no idea whether we have, because obviously, as you can see, I mean, they're still going to be running around a little bit, but I'm kind of hopeful that they will just, you know, disband now. Yep, there we go. It's starting. Look at that. Boyar Ayak has deserted the Tsardom of Kislev. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, there we go. My court can be found here. Yeah, this is pretty funny. Obviously, we had to relocate, and what's funny about that is that when I got the message that my court had been relocated, it actually didn't tell me that it had come here, and instead it told me that my court had relocated to Prague, which is funny because it said your court is no longer at Prague, and it has now been relocated to Prague. And it's just like, what? Really? Are you serious? That's hilarious. Okay, yeah. So anyway, yeah, we've got Cyrus here, but unfortunately, I don't think anything is actually useful. As you can quite clearly tell, we're not really... there's a Beastman, some Beastman armor, which would be fantastic if I was a Beastman, of course. But I'm not. So that's not really going to help us that much. And I already have ward save. I could take the farmer quest, but as we know, I always forget to do those. So I won't be doing that right now. I'm going to actually head over to Karak Hern, because amusingly enough, that is actually the closest goblin town to us. So I will do that. We're not at war against the Empire or Britannia at the moment, which is very nice. Which means that maybe we're going to be, we might be alright, you know? We might actually be okay to make our way over here. And yes, as you can see, look at that. They are actually all deserting Kislev now, which is wonderful. Yes, we lost Stromstad from the, where really? Oh, the Chaos. Okay, yeah. So Chaos is obviously taking Stromstad, that's fine. Basically what I've resigned myself to now is not defending against over probably like 700, 800 units. If there are 700 to 800 people or above that, I'm usually just going to be just signing out, you know. I'm just going to go, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to be investing in that. Because for me personally, I think that's way too much. I think that, sure, you know, it's a fun idea to, you know, to possibly try to defend against something like that. But for me personally, I feel like that's just way too much. You know, it's just not something that I want to do. Anyway, we're going to be purchasing a heavy ball and chain, as you can see right here. This has insane weapon reach. So that's the only thing that I'm a little bit worried about. And there it is. The Kislev have finally been eliminated. I gotta say, I'm super pleased to see the back of them. I really do not like fighting them one bit. I prefer fighting Chaos and, well, basically any other faction at the moment. I'm probably going to be retracting that statement as soon as we start fighting the vampires and probably the dwarves and maybe any other faction that we come across, because it seems like most of the factions are really tough. You know, they seem pretty, you know, pretty damaging. Anyway, as you can see, I've actually made my way over to Beastman territory because a number of people said that you can actually get dual-wielding weapons from there, as Chaos marketplaces don't actually have them for some reason. I don't actually know why that is, but there you go. I actually found some heavy dual corn axes here, and that's hopefully going to help us out a great deal, because let's face it, if you have something that has 195 weapon reach, which is exactly what the ball and chain has that I just purchased, then it's probably a good idea to have something a little bit shorter. And that's exactly the reason why I'm going to be using dual wield in the other slot. So hopefully that's going to help us out. And otherwise, do we want anything else here? Well, we've got a bunch of other people here that I could potentially... no, unfortunately I can't get those ones. That's somewhat unfortunate, isn't it? But yeah, anyway, so this is currently what the map is looking like right now. The Beastmen look to be completely eliminated, almost. They've only got, what, 1, 2, 3 fiefs remaining, which is actually really surprising, because in Slythe's playthrough, the Beastmen were doing fantastically. They were doing really, really well. They were actually capturing a lot of Bretonnian territory and able to sweep across there without any issues whatsoever. But it feels to me like the Beastmen have been ganged up on by the High Elves and the Wood Elves, as well as Bretonnia as well. So it's super... I don't even know, you know, it's kind of crazy to see that. And also the High Elves have also been doing some damage to Nippon as well, which actually means a huge amount, because you could see here that they've gone across the small little ocean gap there and actually attempted to take some of that. And apart from that, obviously, we do have the Lizardmen here. They've not been touched at all, as far as I'm aware. The Kingdom of Araby, which is a very interesting faction, because sometimes what happens with them is they literally will be untouched sometimes, which is what the case is right here, and other times they'll get eliminated first. It's a really strange situation. Otherwise, the Tomb Kings are not touched whatsoever. The Goblins are doing fantastically. They seem to have waged war against the Orcs and seemingly have taken one castle. The Dwarves are doing terribly. Actually, are they? Yeah, no. I mean, they're doing okay. They're doing okay, but they have very few fiefs remaining. As you can see, they have two towns. Yeah, they have 2 towns, and they have 2 castles, and that's basically it. They don't have anything else. And then the Orcs are doing pretty terribly as well. Yeah, quite surprisingly, actually, because I felt like Orcs were really strong. And as you can see, there are, 2 castles and 2 towns, I think, or 3 castles and 1 town. That's not that good at all, if you think about it. And then we have the Empire. And what's funny about this is it seems to be the humans doing a fantastic amount of damage to pretty much every other faction in the game at the moment. Because you can see here that the Empire have taken Grom Peak. And I know that in the latest quick fix, I believe that the Empire has undergone a little bit of a transformation, a little bit of a makeover. And maybe that's the reason why we're starting to see such a stark difference in how the Empire is performing. Because beforehand, in Slythe's playthrough, for example, the Empire was basically free. We would not have any problems whatsoever with them, and they would be very easy to deal with. But nowadays, no, not so much, not so much. As you can see, you know, they're very easily capable of handling anything you pretty much throw at them, which is very impressive, I have to say. Anyway, the Wood Elves are also doing actually not too badly. They have basically not been touched at all, and all they've done is capture things. Not sure if they've actually been changed at all. I don't think so. But you can see here that they've expanded outward to 1 Dwarven place, 1 Skaven, and 1 Beastmen. Actually, 2 Beastmen. They've actually just taken the Camp of Skulls, which is a pretty big victory for them, because that is indeed a town. Anyway, I'm going to go over to Wolfenburg right now, because if we go over here, this is going to... Whoa, why am I paying so much? Oh, it's because of all these patrols and everything, but it's also because of the wages in my party. 10,000. 10,000 wages. That's actually insanity, to be honest, but I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do it otherwise. Anyway, yeah, I am now out of food. This is the reason why I was like, yeah, I should really make sure I get food, otherwise I'm always going to forget that I need to get some. Isn't that great? Alright, let's just get some of this, and I don't really care what I get right now. I'm just going to get some AO and everything to go along with that. I'm going to just have a look-see in here, because you never know whether there's going to be something particularly useful. And there's a farmer. I mean, the farmer is always, in my opinion, the farmer quest is always good to do, but I'm actually not entirely sure how much renown I gained from the previous siege. Now, someone actually said that I should replace Bjorg's weapon. Now, if you can let me know how I do that, then by all means, I'll go ahead and do it. But I've actually checked Bjorg's gear beforehand, or attempted to check his gear, but you're not able to, as you can quite clearly tell. There is no way for me to actually do that. So I can just check his skills, and that's it. There is no way for me to actually check his gear. So, yeah, there you have it, I guess. Anyway, yeah, so we've now lost a huge amount of company size because we recruited 6 Ogre Gorgers. So I am going to actually just get rid of a couple of Kislev units, because I have some of those that I was planning on placing in the garrison, but I don't really want to lose other people. Aha! So, yes, we have the Chaos Dwarves coming in here and attempting to take Stromstad, which is maybe not the best thing ever, but there's not much I can do about that at the moment. I was not there in time. You know, I was actually making my way over there, but, well, it doesn't really matter too much, does it? Because we're going to be taking this, and hopefully in the near future we might get to try our metal against the Chaos Dwarves as well. Alright, so first of all, I very badly need to tell my forces to hold position. Okay, so how is this going to work? Okay, I see. Right. Oh, wow. Okay. This is kind of an interesting weapon. I'm not entirely sure how this is going to work, because I am technically having a, you know, gargantuan player model at the moment, and that inherently makes the, shall we say, reach of your weapons much larger just by default. And so, you know, if I were to, for example, use these two-handed axes, well, not two-handed axes, but you know what I mean, dual-wield axes, they look like they should be two-handed, right? Like anyone else using this would look like it's a two-handed, but yeah, anyway, the point is, their reach is much, much greater than if I was playing with you know, a regular-sized character. So yeah, that's obviously going to be a pretty big deal. Anyway, as you can see, I am literally taking super, super little damage right now, just purely because I have such an incredible amount of ignore pain. Where do I actually go? This is not even the right place. I thought this was actually the right place for me to get inside. Oh, what? You see that? Tzeentch Chaos Sorcerer has cast Shield of Fire. The shield has an 83% chance of absorbing all melee damage. That is crazy good. Alright. Wow, that's really impressive actually. Ah, there we go. Okay, so I found the ladders. This is, I actually have to say it right now. I feel like this siege is the most painful siege I've ever seen so far. Because, I don't know whether you noticed, but yeah, we were being bombarded by loads of enemies. You know, just sheerly from that, you know. Okay, so this is the ball and chain. Oh yeah, I don't have two-handed weapons. I was using a polearm. Oh no, it's gonna take me a long time to level this up. Oh well, maybe not, maybe not. I'm gonna get the frenzy bonus. Okay, this is, oh yeah, thank you for this suggestion. That's all I can say. Thank you for this suggestion. This really makes, oh, this makes all the difference. This is gonna be fantastic. Okay, so just take a note of it right now. We started with 210, I think? 210 two-handed weapon proficiency, okay? 210. I'm just gonna actually tell my forces to hold position because I don't want them to run here. Where are you going? Where are you going, Demon Prince? Oh, fine. Go on then. I didn't really want him to run, but if he has to run to do his business, then sure. You know, if he wants to do that, then who am I to stop him? I don't really mind. But, yeah, this is a great weapon. Thank you for the suggestion. Really, really nice. Because as I said in the previous episode, I was trying to figure out, you know, I was trying to rack my brain thinking of a weapon that could be used as a, you know, crush through blocks thing. And I kind of discounted any of the regular weapons because I was only thinking of legendaries, you see? I was only thinking of legendaries. But this is the perfect weapon. You know why this is perfect? Because it triggers Blood Frenzy, because it is a piercing weapon, which means that it also does insane amounts of damage to heavily armored troops. And it doesn't take prisoners. It knocks them out, you know, it kills them completely. Which is exactly what you want. And this is basically a perfect weapon for a Herald of Khorne, in my opinion, because it just has the ability to just overpower your opponent. And just obviously, here's the thing, yeah? Obviously, maybe not so much from a lore perspective, but definitely from a gameplay perspective, this is absolutely perfect. The synergy that I'm getting from this, being able to crush through blocks, is thematically possible, in my opinion, because let's face it, a Herald of Khorne is most likely going to be able to crush through the block of pretty much anyone, at least any one of these regular units, I suppose. Maybe not another Demon Prince, I would assume. But just think about it from that perspective, you know. Like I said in the previous episode, we don't really want to be considering, you know, a farmer or a peasant or something like that, or any of these archers with their hand axes or something, basically being like, yeah, I can block this this Demon Prince of Khorne with my one-handed axe, you know, that kind of thing. That always just kind of makes me a little bit like, well, that shouldn't really happen, you know, that shouldn't really happen at all, but it does, because of course it does, you know. That's just how it is. It's a game after all. There are some limitations. So, you know. But I think that in general, this definitely makes sense from that kind of perspective, and that's the reason. This is a perfect solution, actually. An absolutely perfect solution. So I really, really appreciate that. And by all means, if anyone else has anything to say in regards to recommendations, you know, what we can use in the future, by all means let me know. But I'm thinking I'm probably going to be sticking with this for quite some time. This is an absolutely amazing weapon. Really, really cool. I don't know whether you've noticed as well, but I am never, ever getting blocked. You know? Because usually I would... Look at these guys. They're blocking me right now. But I just go right through it. I'm just going right through that block. That is amazing. Love it. Absolutely love it. Alright, there you go. That is indeed the end of the reinforcements on the battlements. I'm actually going to be attempting to keep these guys here as much as I possibly can, or at the very least, I'm going to try and kill as many of them as I can on their way to reinforce them. Because here's the thing, if we can do that, I am going to then free up our forces and actually get them to come in here, because otherwise we're going to just consistently be fighting at the front lines. And while that might be a you know, pretty good way of thinning out the enemy's garrison, that is not necessarily what we need to do right now, because as you can see, we only have 29 enemies to fight, and that shouldn't really take us too long. Okay, how do I actually get up here? Is it around here? I'm gonna assume yes. Alright, let me just go this way. And obviously we still have... It's actually quite funny. I feel like I never really go below about, what, 60, 70% HP? I never really go below that, which is quite funny. I don't know how that even happens, but yeah, you can see here just how much... Okay, oh wow, I only gained 280 weapon proficiency. Well, shall we say... I didn't gain 280. I went from 210, or around 210, to 280. So I gained 70, which is, I'm going to say, I feel like I'm pretty surprised about that. I would have expected a lot more, but I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little bit unrealistic, because when it comes to the usage of my other weapon, because let's face it, I was using the spear for an exceptional amount of time. I was using it for thousands upon thousands of kills, right? And only then was I able to reach a level of, you know, 440 or 450 or something like that with it. So I guess that makes sense. I guess that makes sense. Shouldn't really be, you know, just being like, oh yeah, you know, that's obviously wrong, you know. I shouldn't really be just like, you know, being ungrateful for that, you know, but it's gonna be there. We're gonna get there relatively soon. Okay, wait a minute. What's actually happening here now? We've got one enemy somewhere. Ah, here. Oh, you are funny, sir. You are a very, very funny individual. Okay. Oh, hello there. It's nice that he was waiting for me, and now I'm dislodging him. Okay, yeah, well, this is hilarious. I had no idea that you could even do that kind of thing. Okay, that's cool. Take him down. There we are. And that's the thing. We can just crush through his block. Even if I do very minimal damage when I crush through blocks, I actually don't even care. Because as long as I can do damage without doing zero, that's all that matters to me, you know. I'm very happy with that. Anyway, as you can tell, I basically just left my forces all the way back at the start, because there is no point in me just throwing them against the walls for no reason whatsoever. I'd much prefer to just let myself go in there and try to make something happen. Gonna take some Chaos Zealots here, just in case. Ooh, Chaos Champion armor for 12,000. I'll take that, thank you very much. And I'm gonna give this to Dev Thrall, because, let's face it, well, we kinda need to, you know. We kinda need to give our vassals something pretty cool here. Anyway, I am now going to go over to Stromstad, and we'll actually see what's going on there, because I'm a little bit suspicious of the Chaos Dwarves, because maybe they're not going to be able to do anything. Okay, yeah, there's that Boyar Serdun guy. He's part of the Deserters Party now. And let's actually have a look here. Okay, so there's Be'lakor. It's it's the nice fellow. Yes, Be'lakor, the very friendly fellow indeed. Yes, indeed. Anyway, let's actually just go over here, see what's actually happening with them, because if there's a significant amount of Chaos Dwarves, then the Chaos faction might have some issues dealing with them. They're not at war against us, but I feel like I might actually be declaring war against the Chaos Dwarves at some point in the near future, because they're becoming actually wait maybe not even maybe they're not being that maybe they're not being that dangerous, because look at this, they have what, 1 2, is that a town? No, that's a castle. No, they just have one town to their name, and that's purely because the Kingdom of Britannia as well as the Dark Elves have been dismantling them. But yeah, I guess that just says everything you need to know, which means the Chaos faction are actually still doing better than they are. Okay, so let's actually see what's happening at the Bay of Blades here, because maybe there's actually going to be a potential target for us. 400, that's a lot. They do have a couple of prisoners available, 75. Kind of wondering. I'm kind of wondering right now, because look at the Chaos vassals. They're running around with about, you know, about 40 to 50 troops. I'm not entirely sure why. They've got quite a few villages that they can recruit from still, but apparently they don't want to or can't. I don't know. Maybe there are too many vassals and not enough. You know, there's just not enough money to go around for them to be able to recruit people. Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.